On the past and future just as real, sometimes even more real than the present. After all, the past determines who we are as well as how we perceive and behave in the past. And our future goals determine which action we take in the present. You haven't yet grasped the essence of what I'm saying because you are trying to understand it mentally. The mind cannot understand this, only you can. Please just listen. Have you ever experienced, done, thought, or felt anything outside the now? Do you think you ever will? Is it possible for anything to happen or be outside the now? The answer is obvious, is it not? Nothing ever happened in the past, it happened in the now. Nothing will ever happen in the future, it will happen in the now. What do you think of as the past is a memory trace stored in the mind of a former now. When you remember the past, you reactivate the memory trace, and you do so now. The future is an imagined now, a projection of the mind. When the future comes, it comes as the now. When you think about the future, you do it now. Past and the future obviously have no reality of their own, just as the moon has no light of its own, but you can only reflect the light of the sun, so are past and future only pale reflections of the light, power, and the reality of the eternal present. Their reality is borrowed from the now. The essence of what I'm saying here cannot be understood by the mind. The moment you grasp it, it is a shift in consciousness from mind to being, from time to presence. Suddenly, everything feels alive, radiates energy, emanates being. The key to the spiritual dimension. In life-threatening emergency situation, the shift in consciousness from time to presence sometimes happens naturally. The personality that has a past and future momentarily recedes and is replaced by an intense conscious presence, very still but very alert at the same time. Whatever response is needed then arises out of the state of consciousness. The reason why some people love to engage in dangerous activities such as mountain climbing, car racing, and so on, although they may not be aware of this, it is that it forces them into the now, that intensely alive state that is free of time, free of problems, free of thinking, free of the burden of personality. Slipping away from the present moment, even for a second, may mean death. Unfortunately, they come to depend on a particular activity to be in that state, but you don't need to climb the north face of the age. You can enter that state now. Since ancient times, spiritual masters of all traditions have pointed the now as the key to spiritual dimension. Despite this, it seems to have remained a secret. It is certainly not taught in churches and temples. If you go to church, you may hear reading from the gospel such as, "Take no thought for the morrow, for the morrow shall take thought of the things of itself," or "Nobody who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God." Or you might hear the passage about the beautiful flowers that are not anxious about tomorrow, but live with ease in the timeless now and are provided for abundantly by God. The depth and radical nature of these teachings are not recognized. No one seems to realize that they are meant to be lived and so bring about profound inner transformation. Okay, the whole essence of Zen consists in walking along the razor's edge of now, to be so utterly, so completely present that no problems, no suffering, nothing that is not who you are in your essence can survive in you. In the now, the absence of time, all your problems dissolve, suffering needs time. It cannot survive in the now. The great Zen master Rinzai, in order to take his students' attention away from time, would often raise his finger and slowly ask, "What at this moment is lacking? A powerful question that does not require an answer on the level of the mind. It is designed to take your attention deeply into the now. A similar question in the Zen tradition is this: is it now? If not now, when? The now is also central to the teaching of Sufism, the mythical branch of Islam. Sufis have a saying: the Sufi is the son of time present, and Rumi, the great poet and teacher of Sufism, declares, past and future veil God from our sight, burn up both of them with fire. Meister Eckhart, the 13th century spiritual teacher, summed it up all beautifully. Time is what keeps the light from reaching us. There is no greater obstacle to God than time. Accessing the power of the now. A moment ago, when you talked about the eternal present and the unreality of the past and future, I found myself looking at the tree outside the window. I had looked at it a few times before, but this time it was different. The external perception had not changed much, except that the colors seemed brighter and more vibrant. But there was now an added dimension to it. This is hard to explain. I don't know how, but I was aware of something invisible that I felt was the essence of that tree, its inner spirit, if you like. And somehow I was part of that. I realized now that I hadn't truly seen the tree before, just as a flat, dead image of it. When I look at the tree now, some of that awareness is still present, but I can feel it slipping away. You see, the experience is already receding into the past. Can something like this ever be more than a fleeting glimpse? You are free of time for a moment. You moved into the now and therefore perceive the tree without the screen of mind. The awareness of being became part of your perception. With the timeless dimension comes a different kind of knowing, one that does not kill the spirit that lives within every creature, everything. A knowing that does not destroy the sacredness and mystery of life, but contains a deep love and reverence for all that is. A knowing of which the mind knows nothing. The mind cannot know the tree. It can only know facts and information about the tree. My mind cannot know you, only labels, judgments, facts, and opinions about you. Being alone knows directly. There is a place for mind and mind knowledge. It is in the practical realm of day-to-day living, however, when it takes over all aspects of your life, including your relationships with other human beings and with nature, it becomes a monstrous parasite that, unchecked, may well end up killing all life on the planet and finally itself by killing its host. You have had a glimpse of how the timeless can transform your perceptions, but experience is not enough, no matter how beautiful or profound. What is needed and what we are concerned with is a permanent shift in consciousness. So break the old pattern of present moment denial and present moment resistance, making your practice with withdraw attention from past and future whenever they are not needed, whenever they are not needed. Step out of time dimension as much as possible in everyday life. If you find it hard to enter the now that directly, start by observing the habitual tendency of your mind to want to escape from the now. You'll observe that the future is usually imagined as either better or worse than the past. If you imagine the future is better, it gives you hope and pleasurable anticipation. If it is worse, it creates anxiety. Both are illusionary. Through self-observation, more presence comes into your life automatically.